Oh shit, it's not
So when the sun shines in Scotland, that's the place I long to be. Oh, when the sun shines in Scotland, that's the place I long to be. I'll spend my winters in the mountains, I'll spend my summers by the sea.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Wee Jem Show. It's Friday, and we have a nice guest in the studio. He's been in the Indie Cafe, Indie 2 Cafe quite a lot lately. We have a meeting, or not a meeting, but like a blether, on Zoom every night. So anyone who wants to join. But Chris is doing an event for independence called Sail for Freedom. So hello, Chris. How are you?
I'm very good, Jem. Thank you very much. How are you?
I'm bro.
Good. Glad to hear it. I'm doing well, thanks. As I said, it's a busy day, but as I said, glad to be on your show.
I hope you don't mind. I told everyone we are starting late because you're still out of breath.
Yeah, I'm gathering my breath at pace now, so it's all good. It's all good.
So you were working today, and then you had to rush home to be on the show.
I did well, as I said. I think I spoke to yourself yesterday. So I've went from like a working from home kind of model from work to the one is in the office now every day for 3 months. So that just got landed on us the other day. Obviously, I've been off. I was overseas for a month, so I've just come back last week to Scotland. So and obviously been told the news and my work that I'll now need to be in the office for 3 months. So it's not the best news in the world, but again, just one of these things I'm going to have to put up with for the time being.
So where were you overseas, Chris, if you don't mind me asking?
I was in Tenerife, James, so I was over there for a month. So I was, I just needed some kind of time away. I had some health issues at the latter end of last year, so I just needed to kind of get away for a month and obviously recharge my batteries and stuff, but all good now, and I'm raring to go.
If I ask you a question and you don't want to answer, you can just go no comments.
No, you're fine, Jim. I'm easy going.
So, Chris, I wanted to ask you a question. How did you get involved in independence?
Well, I've actually been involved in independence. Well, I was actually a member of the SNP. I joined at age 16. From a very, very young age, I would say, like, my appetite for independence came very young. I would say I started really getting into politics about the age 13, 14. I know some people would be like, wow. It's, as I said, it's just something that's really it's something that's really interested me in regards to a passion for Scotland. From a very young age, from the age of 5 years old, I was always going about I'll tell you a funny story. I went to school. I once seen a film called Rob Roy McGregor. Many years ago, and I really wanted my mum to buy me a sword, so she did. She said, whatever you do, she says, Christopher, please don't take that to school. So one morning
You did.
I did. One morning I had it tucked under my school blazer and my trousers, and took it to school, and obviously the school found out, and my mum found out about that later. So I thought it was Rob Roy back then. So from a very, very young age, that's really where that kind of came from. And then basically really just kind of grown up. I said I grew up in a working class family, so I did like most of us within the movement and stuff. And I mean, I've just seen obviously the way that things have kind of generated over the years. Grown up from a youngster and seen obviously the devastation that's happened from previous governments south of the border and whatnot, and then obviously with us regaining, and I use the word regaining our parliament back, obviously in 1999, that's had a major impact in my life as well. It's had a massive positive impact in my life, especially over the last, I would say, nearly the last 2 decades actually, and following from.
By the way, Chris, you know you're getting old when you start saying something happened 2 decades ago. Then you know you're getting old.
I do, yeah, absolutely. I know somebody else was asked my age today, believe it or not, and I'm 30, 4. So
I remember the
35.
first time I said that, I was like, that happened like 10 or 20 years ago. And then I suddenly thought, oh my God, I'm actually getting old.
Aye, I know. Well, do you know what? I'm 18 in my head right enough, but I certainly don't feel that at times, unfortunately. But no, nonetheless, it's I know where you're coming from. When you look back and see, well, 20 years ago, when was that? When did I first come out of school? And I'm like, oh, that's quite
I
a
know.
while ago.
I also still feel 18, but unfortunately, I don't look it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I apologize for interrupting you there.
No, you're fine. So really, again, I've always had a passion for our country. And do you know what? I don't know where it came from. Nobody does. My gran used to laugh and obviously kind of have a bit of a joke at me. She thought I'm a reincarnation of Robert the Bruce. Now there's a reason for that. Obviously, it's because I share the same birthday as Robert the Bruce. He was born on the 11th of July. And so was I, but nobody really kind of understood where I got this passion from for our country, and it's just something that's really been inbuilt in me from the very start, really, to be honest.
It's in your DNA.
It is, and that's the way I look at it. And as I said, obviously, I want the best for Scotland, and I want the best for all of our people. I want Scotland to thrive and succeed. And obviously, the way things are just now, that is just absolutely, unfortunately, not the case in regards to how much more we could be doing in this country. But with a certain parliament in a different country, respectively, of course, it's just dragging us down and pulling us back. So the fight's there, and I will do absolutely everything. And my small, however big or small that contribution can be, to see our country regain its independence and look forward to a prosperous, more happier future.
Absolutely. So that's really good. And I know it's not unusual for kids to be interested in independence. I mean, my kids, when they were really small, and I'm talking about before 5 years old, but
Yep.
They knew all about all these things. And when it was the 2014 referendum, they were out there, and we plastered all our vehicles with huge yes posters, and they were in the newspaper, and my kids were totally for independence.
Yeah.
So I'm proud of you. And I just want to mention something. The background to the show today is for the radio station. Okay. That's how you link into it online. It's Sound of Freedom Radio. So that's sofradio.is, myradio.com/player. It's on the Sounds of Freedom Radio Facebook page, and it's pinned to the top of the page. And you can actually, I think you can click on the 3 dots, and you get an option to add it to your home screen. But I had it blaring out of my window on my Bluetooth speaker, and my neighbor's a Yoon, so he was like, "Can you turn that down?" And I was like, I can't hear you. Are you talking to me? So all the kids were going back and forth to school with their teachers, and they were stopping by my gate, and they were dancing and everything. And my neighbor was so upset, and I was loving it.
Brilliant. Love it. Absolutely brilliant. Good on you.
So let's talk about Sail for Freedom.
Yes. Aye, so yes, of course, absolutely. We'll just address a wee thing before we go into that. So obviously, before you kindly invited me onto your show tonight, as I was coming home, obviously I did get, and sure most of us did, get the news that the Glen Sannox is out of action yet again. So just to reassure people that obviously the date for this event will be on May the 24th of this year. Now, the Glen Sannox is out. There's something wrong with its hull, so they need to obviously go in and check the structure of the ship, make sure everything's fine. But I think we'll still be good to go for the Glen Sannox by the 24th of May.
I think we will, it might
Absolutely.
just be MI5 heard about this, because like I was saying to you off air,
Yes.
I just invited a whole bunch of people to your Sail for Freedom page, and it kicked me out of Facebook saying suspicious activity because I invited people to it. And then I got kicked out of my ex account. I got kicked out of Messenger, and I couldn't get back in. And I was like, this is...
Yeah. So again, nothing would surprise me, Jem, in regards to that. I mean, I've over the years, as I'm sure most of us have certainly been booted out of various different kind of online accounts,
social media.
social media, that was the word I was trying to get. Yep. And yeah, absolutely. I mean, nothing really would shock me in regards to that. I mean, they will try absolutely everything they possibly can under the sun to make sure that we don't take control of our own destiny. So, I mean, all cards on the table, you may be right on that. But again, look, at the end of the day, they can try all they like, but at the end of the day, nothing will really stop us from fighting on for our freedom. And again, they can do what they like, but again, we ain't going to stop.
Can I mention what we're talking about over here?
You can.
So I was chatting to Chris off air while he was trying to get his breath and all this, and say, oh, by the way, like we used to be, the Scottish nation used to be pirates, and they used to call them reivers. And it wasn't because we were bad people. It was just because we don't tolerate this pish about you can't do this and you can't do that. And, so we just did it our own way. And I used to live on the Outer Hebrides, and there's a little island just north of Barra, called Eriskay. And there's a little island called the Stack Islands. And one of them was one of the O'Neills, and he was a reiver. And he used to put out like false lights. And when they crashed in, he would haul off their load, and he lived on this little place. But many people were actually, so we could just acquire another ferry.
Yeah, absolutely. No, as I said, one way or another it will go. As I said, supposing I've to roll right across to Arran with a saltire at the front, then do you know what, so be it.
Well, we could do that. There's actually a coastal rowing organization, and I mean, nothing's gonna stop us, so let's just be positive.
Absolutely, it will go ahead. So May the 24th of this year is the date of the event. Obviously, as well, I have managed to put up the page. I done that yesterday. There will be more content and more information, obviously, coming along its way. So it will. So again, if you're looking for any information on Sail for Freedom, then you can go to the Sail for Freedom Facebook page, and you'll get some information on there. And as I say, if anybody's got any questions or whatnot, then they can message me directly, and I'd be happy to answer as many questions as possible.
I'm just going to show them the picture that's on the Facebook page. So if you go into Facebook and you search for Sail for Freedom, get your asses on there, people. So this is the picture that's on the page. And that's one of the ferries. So basically, you can go on as a foot passenger. How much does it cost to go on as a foot passenger, Chris?
So for a foot passenger, you're looking between 9 and between 9 and 12 pounds. So it is for a car. Obviously, it's a bit more expensive. I believe it's about, I think for a car, it's about 30 or 40 pounds, I believe. But again, things do change, and again, there might be price rises coming up in April as a lot of things do happen. But again, I will get the information on that, and I will put that onto the Facebook page as well. So I'll get how much the tickets are going to cost on that date, specifically in May. If you're traveling by car as well, I'll get all of that information on the page as well for you guys as well. So it just means that you know really how much it's going to be, and if you're taking a car across as well, and how you can do that and whatnot as well.
So basically, everybody, the way that this is working is, I'm sure most of you know that there's indie bridges. So we've got these wonderful people like Ian McNeil who started it, and some people join on like Cliff Serby and different people, and they put indie for bridges up, with saltires all over the bridges. So the idea here is that the saltires are going on the ferries, and we might be a little bit discreet about it. So we suggest this is going to be done under the whole independence movement. If the police ask, it's like there's no specific organizer. It's everybody is a sovereign Scot, and everybody is just doing this independently on their own. And we just happen to meet up on the ferry and have all our flags with us. So basically the idea is, be discreet when you get on the ferry, behave yourself. We don't know how many Yuns are going to be on the ferry, or if the skipper is a Yun. But as we set sail and we are too far to come back to port, we will discreetly, one by one, unroll, just do it so you're not like looking like you're going to do something. Indie events are always peaceful. And it's perfectly, we are allowed to do this. And basically it was chosen the Glen Sannox because it's a new ferry and sailing from, where does it sail from?
So that's the thing. So the Glen Stannox will be, fingers crossed, will be sailing from Troon. And there is another sailing as well. So we've got a choice of two ships. I don't know which ship it will be from Ardrossan.
Ferry.
Sorry. It'll be the ferry from Troon, and that will be, hopefully, as I say, the Glen Stannox, and the ferry from Ardrossan Harbour as well. It also runs to Arran. So at that time of the year, because it's a summer timetable and whatnot as well, so that there'll be two ferries as well that will be kind of running parallel with each other. So that means that more people obviously can join up in the day as well.
And the thing is, okay, I lived on the Outer Hebrides for 8 years, and ferries do break down all the time. They go under tremendous strain. So it's not a case of saying, oh, the ferry is broken. You know, if you've ever gone on ferries regularly and you know the Scottish weather, they take tremendous strain, you know, and also sometimes there are ghost nets floating around the ocean and they might get stuck in the you know, the mechanics. So anything can happen, you know. This is a huge thing that happens with us sailing in between the islands. So don't stress. There will be a replacement vehicle, okay? There will be a replacement ferry. The Glen Stannox accommodates, I think, 800 people.
Actually, I think it's close to. I think it's about nearly 900. So it is, because it's a bigger ship. Ferry. So it is, and the one from Ardrossan, I think that's about 800. So it's there or thereabouts. So I mean, there is capacity for quite a lot of us to go over. Now, obviously, again, it depends if people want to go. See, I was looking at really, the one I would be going on is the one around about the 12:30 from Troon, so that would be about 12:30. But again, if people do want to come over on the other ferry after that and join us guys, obviously the rest of us over in Brodick, then I think there's one at, I believe, at 3:30 as well.
They are quite regular, so I don't think people need to stress. And there will be a replacement vehicle, a replacement ferry. And there will be, I think it's the Clansman that's sailing from Ardrossan.
Yep, I believe so.
It's a very big ferry. So
it is. Yeah, absolutely. It's the Clansman. I'm sure it is the Clansman. I've been on the Clansman many times. I mean, I've been to Arran since I was a youngster. So again, the Clansman's a brilliant ship. It is an older ship. Don't get me wrong, but again, it's a great vessel. Sorry, excuse me. And there's plenty of space and stuff like that. So again, as you're right, Jem, there'll always be replacement ships, so people don't have to worry in that regard.
So the Clansman and the Lord of the Isles used to be the standard ferry for the Isle of Barra, where I used to live for quite a lot of years. And it's a fantastic ferry, and it's lovely. So I was actually looking forward to going on the Glen Stannox, but I think like people must just keep their underwears on, you know, like literally there's going to be a replacement ferry, and it's not because it's a shite ferry or anything, or, you know, the Yuns will ever go at our ferries. These ferries go under tremendous strain, and you know, when they know that they want to do some kind of maintenance, they are being responsible. You know, a lot of the things in the Mediterranean and other countries, you have these ferries sinking and all this. We don't have these disasters in Scotland because Caledonia McBrain is very, very responsible. I mean, people can hurl abuse at them, but you know, they are the lifeline to the islands. And tell me, is the Isle of Arran is privately owned?
Well, yes, I found out it is privately owned, and again, hopefully after independence, that's one of the reasons I'm wanting independence as well, that it will be brought back to the people. So yeah, it's a guy called, I believe it might be the Duke of Hamilton, if that is his title. But yeah, so there is a man that does own a lot of the land within the Isle of Arran. But again, I mean, if people, we're a peaceful organisation, do you know what I mean? So as long as everybody's over there, they're peaceful, which we always are. Again, the only other trouble that we'll probably get is it comes from the Yuns, as you said. But yeah, things should be fine in that aspect. But yeah, it's one man, I think, that owns a lot of the land within the Isle of Arran.
And is he a unionist?
I believe so. I believe that. Well, he's part of the establishment, as we know that. For a fact.
And that's sad that a lot of our nobility was actually, and it goes back to old times where there was this kind of English mafia. Really, actually, nobody wants to acknowledge that, but it was a mafia that would descend on Scotland and use any means to create traitors including kidnapping their children, threatening them with armies unexpectedly. These guys didn't just become traitors for no reason, and they can't blame them. It was really a mafia situation. And
Absolutely.
yeah, of course, I mean, like the Isle of North Uist is still owned by Earl Granville, and I mean, the island kind of, they get used to this, but like Bara, the people of Bara, she was actually the clan chief in, it's been part of the clearances and all this.
Yep.
And he bought it for them. He was in America and he bought the island for them. And I think the Isle of Coal, the people bought the island. So slowly, people are buying the islands. And the best thing was when I lived on Bara was we didn't obey rules of Britain.
Yeah.
You didn't need MOT for your car, and mostly because there wasn't a proper car repairer. There was one or two people, pirate car repairs, but there was guys who looked after the roads. It was the people of the island that looked after the island, and that's how it should be, because the people of the island really care about the island. So when it's still in this like nobility and it's owned by unionists and all this, you found that they were really responsible for getting money to clear the lands and encourage people to leave, in horrible ways.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the sad thing about obviously why Scotland's population is a lot smaller, I would say, than it is south of the border. I mean, because many hundreds of thousands of our fellow descendants were shipped to the colonies and stuff back in the day. So I mean, again, that's the sad part about it is why, as you say in particular, obviously without giving you a history, I'm sure you know this yourself, and most of us do know this, but obviously after the last ever battle fought in so-called UK soil, which is never educated, because obviously the government in Westminster does not want anybody to know this, that after the massacre that happened, and then obviously the Highland clearances as a punishment
and it was literally Jacobites that was cleared off the land.
Absolutely.
And it wasn't like Jacobites were bad people. They literally just wanted their own Scottish king. They didn't want an imposter king that was literally, I discovered this, it's in writing, that William of Orange was invited to invade Scotland and seize the throne. So everything else that we were told was absolute bollocks. It wasn't voluntary. And even though his wife was the daughter of the king, it was like she was totally insignificant. She should have been the Queen of Scotland, but she was literally silenced, and he ran the whole show. And it was literally, just seizing the crown. It wasn't like...
Absolutely. I mean, you're absolutely spot on. I mean, obviously, the descendant of Stuarts, and I mean, I was actually just talking about this today in work, believe it or not. I mean, that talking about the... I was actually talking to a unionist earlier on who
you weren't?
Yeah, absolutely. It's somebody that I do know very, very well, and we kind of wind up with each other right enough. But he said something daft. I mean, I'm a Republican myself, but he said something. If we went for independence, he's like, well, what about the monarchy? Well, I says, well, look, I mean, this is the educational brains of some of them. I went, well, at the end of the day, whether I want a republic or not, when Scotland becomes independent, I said that the monarch will still be there because as head of state, because obviously that's until we have a referendum on getting rid of the monarchy. Because as I reminded them that it was James VI of Scotland who took the throne of England and became James I of England. So
I know, but Chris, remember that they falsified our history when you go into the actual things, and remember that English wasn't our language. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just need to clear this up.
Of course.
English wasn't our language, and it goes for all the other colonies as well, and that's why they all got screwed as well, like the Native American Indians and the Aborigines. So when James inherited the throne, because they'd been meddling with our royal family for centuries, like by force, okay, they didn't get our bloodlines voluntarily. We've got proof that they got it by force. They used this term, union of the crowns, but it wasn't. He inherited the crown because their queen didn't have children. Now, when it continued from there, it was no longer a union of the crowns. And this goes for its misuse of the English word union. Even this UK... I can't find a polite word to describe it. It's misuse. It's misuse of the word union, and this was the trickery of English and literally squashing our languages. Is that our people did, the people who were in Parliament and all this, they had to kind of rely on this spoken word, but English is a tricky, devious language.
No. Absolutely. No, yeah, that's a very, very fair point. I mean, obviously, bringing it forward to today's situation, I mean, myself, that a lot of people find it kind of bizarre or agree with me or disagree with me in regards to Westminster and stuff. I mean, I personally do not acknowledge the Parliament of Westminster as my government. I never have, and I never ever will. As I said, unfortunately, yes, us as Scots and us as independent supporters, when we have to abide by certain laws, we do it in protest. But I certainly don't acknowledge that government south of the border is my overlords and my government. I never have, and
we never gave them permission.
Absolutely correct. Yeah.
And when the unionists literally hurl abuse at us on social media, they're like, "Oh, but Scotland begged to be part of the union." No, they didn't.
Nonsense.
And they're like, Scotland was in debt. No, we weren't. England was in debt to 18 million. Now they're in trillions, but we didn't. And the Durrand scheme was totally manufactured using, literally nobility. And they used to appoint their own people as lords and ladies and all this pish in Scotland. They were wealthy people, and they did this scheme, and it wasn't actually Scotland. It was literally used to depopulate Scotland because they wanted Scotland. And most of the Scots that got moved off the land literally died because when they got to this Durrand scheme destination, they were attacked, and most of them died. It was attempted extermination of basic grassroots Scots.
Yep.
So
yeah, you're totally right.
All of this stuff, when they say this, it's all falsifying our history, and this is why we need to start speaking the truth, because we've been squashed and silenced and lied about. And,
I would say, Jem, I mean, I think things have improved slightly better. I mean, since I was at school. I mean, when I remember in primary school, and I was talking to a mate of mine actually not that long ago about this, and I always remember getting taught 1066, the Battle of Hastings. Now, even as we discussed earlier, where did my passion for independence come? Even back then, I remember saying to my
I didn't know you were that old. You were born in 1066.
No, certainly not. No, and certainly not down there. No, 1990. Many years later than that. But no, I remember saying to my primary school teacher, I went, "Look, miss, I went, why am I being taught 1066 when it's got no value or no historical purpose to obviously the ancestry of the nation that I come from." And I always remember that Scottish history, we've got a wee bit of Mary Queen of Scots and whatnot, but it wasn't as where it is today. So in a way, thanks to the Scottish government, things have improved a lot more now. And kids in Scotland are getting a bit more Scottish history. But again, there is red flags, obviously, from Westminster, because they've been told, look, there's certain things you can say in the curriculum, even though that it's devolved. But there's certain things where I know for a fact that they're saying, look, you can't go too far in depth with that because it's going to upset the apple cart. So it has improved, but we need to educate our kids and let our kids know exactly where they came from and exactly what the real history is of their own country.
It's so true, and this is one of the biggest problems, I think, with, you get different kinds of unionists. You've got the hostile colonial settlers that we are infected with, okay, which they are never going to be converted.
Yeah.
And then you've got the traitors, which, if they understand why their families were traitors for centuries, they might not be so keen. They were literally victims of the English mafia, which was incredibly vicious and literally killed off most of the world, invaded so many countries in the world.
Yep.
So that's ignorance. And it's ignorance because it was forced ignorance. It was literally suppressing our history. And we weren't the only country that suffered this.
Absolutely.
So something that happened, I don't know if you know about the Treaty of Greenwich.
I have heard of the Treaty of Greenwich, yes. I couldn't...
It was a big turning point.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know too much in depth about it, but yes, I have heard of it.
It was Lord Hamilton. He was the guardian, and this is why I'm bringing it up, because it ties into this Hamilton on Aaron.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
He was the guardian of Scotland, and he was literally descended upon by the mafia, the English mafia, and literally life or death, or we'll chop off your fingers, break your knees, rape your daughters and your wives, whatever. And he eventually agreed to this Greenwich Treaty. And he got a small benefit from it to say that your son will marry the daughter of the king and you'll become nobility, which literally seemed, I don't know, he didn't have a choice, really. Anyway, the Scottish Parliament found out about this and was like, no, this is a pish and bollocks, And excuse me, that's my favorite statement. And this is not happening, because what they wanted to do, and that was in the 1300s, literally, steal Mary as an infant, Mary Queen of Scots. She was about 1 year old.
That's right.
Take her to England, so she's raised in England, and she's indoctrinated to not to be Scottish.
That's right.
And be forced to marry the 6-year-old heir to the throne of England, and a union of the countries, not only of the crowns. So they've been at it for centuries and long before this. And this is why you get certain clans, and it come out in Culloden that some of the clans were traitor clans, not only traitor people, it involved the entire clan. And if we start correcting the history, but when they refused this treaty, which was not a treaty, England invaded Scotland the most harshest way. They come in and they burnt Edinburgh to the ground.
Yeah. Was it the rough wooing, Jane? Sorry, was it the rough wooing I've heard as well? Was like
this
that
is what they call it, It's this deception of English, the rough wooing. It was like more like a gang rape. So they literally come in, burnt Edinburgh, sacked Leith. They stole the Scottish Chronicle, and that was our history record.
Yeah.
And from that point onwards, or even before that, they were falsifying our history.
Absolutely.
And it turned out there was a copy that was held in safekeeping in France in Latin. And when this emerged many years later, slowly and slowly, we are getting the true story of what our history was, and it's totally falsified.
Yep, definitely. 100% agree with that.
And the only things that were taught in schools is like various stories that could kind of humiliate Scots or put the fear in them, because they're all about fear mongering. Like if you disobey, you will be pulled apart, impaled, hung, all in a one-hour dragged. What worse like to torture could you get?
Aye, absolutely. I know. I mean, just to pull on from that point you've made. I mean, I think in particular, I think that there's two major things that should happen in Scotland through the curriculum, because again, one important thing is that we're not taught in history that how this union was formed. So for some reason, you would think that the biggest thing that you should be educated, especially in history, is how did the union come together? That's
you're so right, Chris. It's because it was the Aliens Act, and we were under a famine. There was the Glencoe massacre. There was the famine, the first famine, which wasn't a famine, and then this Aliens Act, and carry on.
That's it. And as I said, we know the reasons, obviously, why they don't want our kids knowing that, and that's because they don't want, obviously, the real facts of stuff getting out. And the second fact is obviously about the Battle of Culloden. I mean, again, you would think in historical terms that's the kids would be taught what was the last ever battle in so-called British history, and I use the word so-called, but you know what, again, they don't want the facts of that coming out either, because it's too much. It's a bit like the referendum in 2014 when Outlander was on. Right now, David Cameron, obviously they were going to release the TV series, but he intervened and said, look, that this can't come out, because obviously it was a bit, do you know what I'm saying, in case that upset things and it went the other way for the
they didn't like the fact that this program was being shown and people were feeling patriotic, and this is why they mock Braveheart so much. It's not that Braveheart was a bad movie or that Mel Gibson was particularly shite, it was just like they don't want people to feel this power inside us that we are born with, that we will fight for our country.
Exactly. Absolutely. Spot on. You're correct. Yeah. No, you're totally right. I think as well, because if I'm correct, you could correct me here if I'm wrong. I think that when Braveheart did come out, it was coming up to the yes vote to get a parliament back. So it was round about that time when that, I think it was at 95. I think that came out, and we
that was also a Dodge affair, by the way.
In 90.
Carry on.
Sorry, it was in 95 and then it was 97. So I think they didn't want things like that happening again, just in case. Do you know what? It was going to be another yes vote. So again, at the same point as well, I think that they didn't want to take the risk. But again, that's just sleek itness, as we say in Scotland. That's sleek it.
Sleek
And
it.
sleek it.
Yeah, I can
absolutely.
think of some more descriptive terms, but sleek it does it.
I'm
It's
putting that in the most polite
and devious and weasel-like.
Absolutely. But people all know what I mean. But the real meanings that I'm trying to say here. But sleek it's the most polite word I can put to it for the time being.
Well done for being so polite. I'll give you your medal before we close the show.
I'm trying.
Yeah. So you were mentioning about basically Outlander being filmed. Don't lose your thought there because I interrupted you.
No.
And
yeah. So on you go.
No, you go.
Yeah, I was just saying Outlander, obviously, because obviously of when it was a great TV series and it was very, very popular within Scotland. It still is. And I think that David Cap, there was, as far as I know, it was leaked out that there was a discussion in the cabinet down in obviously in Westminster, and there was a discussion made that had to be stopped just in case it did come out. Because I mean, if you have watched Outlander, and I love it, I think it's brilliant. But there's some things even in that for modern times it's very hard for me to watch as a Scot as well. Very.
There were some parts I couldn't watch, like when whatever that. Oh, I can't find the words, but he did something to
he did,
and it was just like traumatic as anything.
Absolutely, and again that and I think it was round about that time when that happened, and I think that they had to put a stop to this. Do you know what I mean? So again, it was just total interference, and then people say, "Oh, there was no interference." Utter, again, putting it polite manners, as we'd say, utter mince. Because that's just not the case. I mean, they've done everything in their power back then to stop as much as they possibly could, and again to do that and involve like the film industry and whatnot, who's supposed to be independent and stuff like that as well from politics and whatnot, I just thought was a total disgrace. It just shows you the caliber of who these people are.
It is appalling, but isn't it wonderful that these things happened at point moments? And they must have been literally pooping themselves. That's not a rude word.
Yeah.
They must have been pooping themselves because we never give up.
No.
It doesn't matter how many of us they kill.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how they torture us, starve us, talk pitch about us, make insane laws that are unlawful. We just keep on fighting. And we're just peacefully now, but we are more powerful now that we're peaceful and we're not losing our people.
Absolutely, and I would agree with every single word of that. I mean, it's what's happening just now with obviously with the way the world is at the moment. It is a dangerous world, don't get me wrong, but I mean, I've said, I mean, somebody did go at me the other day, and it's like, if I'm talking about conscription and stuff like that, I mean, obviously, if we were called up, and look, I blatantly said, and I've said to many people, I will not go into a British Army uniform or a British Naval uniform.
Good for you, Chris. Good for you.
I will not fight. No, I will not fight for that flag. And just so people know that's not because I'm a coward. It's far from it. Where I would, and I've said this many times, is if it came to the destruction of our country here in Scotland, I would fight to my last dying breath for the nation I'm in just now, but I will never fight for that butcher's apron, and I will never put one of that uniform on in my life. It just will not happen. So, yeah.
And
absolutely.
Most of our guides wouldn't have. It was even like with all the wars and the colonization, we have been reduced to crush the spirit of our people. And conscription was forceful. They would literally kill you and your family, basically, if you didn't go. And people have been starved, and I mean, endless fish. So it was horrific, and you can say that Scotland was part of colonialism because we didn't want to be, and we were forced. Really horrific. So a lot of people who go into the military, they do it because they desperately need the wage to help their family. But they have cadets in schools, and it's telling them all this, and the UK, blah blah blah, indoctrinating our children, and they go into the military, they serve in the military, they found out that the attitude there towards Scots is actually very pish.
Yeah.
Like people get treated like poop. And then they come out of it with the gift that keeps giving, post-traumatic stress, and there's no help, and the veterans literally struggle and don't get treated properly, and it's appalling. And you're totally right. I know in South Africa there was many conscientious objectors.
Yeah, it's
But
not.
I
It's
saw
not.
someone. No, go
Sorry,
on.
I was just going to say it's not. It's not again that again, just to reiterate. I mean, if Scotland was again, if I would gladly fight and give my life for Scotland. Again, if it was a Scottish matter and we were independent and we were attacked, look, I'd be there. But I'm sorry, I just could not bear myself, and even to my ancestors, for example, and all of our ancestors thrown down the line. I couldn't do that. I'll never salute that flag. I just won't do it. And do you know what? If that means they call me a traitor, if they can do what they like, but I mean, I'm no traitor. I'm loyal to my country, but my country's Scotland, because I mean, at the end of the day, I'm sure we all know this, that Britain is not a country. It's not recognised internationally as a country. It's a state.
It's a fraudulent. It's a fake pseudonym for England. Everybody knows this, you know.
Absolutely.
Now they do. Now they do.
Yeah.
No, Chris, I'm proud of you for saying that. And I think what we've got to be careful is you're one of the younger generation, but we need more to tell the kids who are teenagers and in their 20s and 30s, you know.
Yeah.
Don't think that war is romantic or you're defending your country, because we are not defending Scotland. If we're going to defend our country, we're all going to line up against the border, all 5.5 million of us, and just stand there and say, get out.
Yeah.
You know, that's defending your country, not going into another country based on propaganda and slaughtering innocent people.
I agree. It's not glorified. It was not a pretty thing. It's not. And do you know what? One thing I am quite kind of has made me smile recently is that, for example, a lot of kids nowadays, I went with that they're not willing to fight and they're not willing to go and do it. I mean, I think there was a poll that was out recently that actually the majority of youngsters were going like, why should I? Why would I go? Do you know what I mean? So good for them, because I mean, at the end of the day, it's nothing to be glorified for apart from blood being spilled, as we can see right across the world at the moment. It's horrific.
It is so horrific, and the thing is, sorry, because I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, of course.
Just now I've forgotten because I have dementia. You see, that's why I interrupt people, because I can't remember if I don't say it straight away.
I know we're talking about obviously about going to war and stuff.
It was really interesting what I was going to say, but anyway. No, that's why I interrupt people, because if I don't say what I'm going to say, it's gone forever.
No, of course. Just tell me if wished, as they say here in Scotland, and I'll shut my geggy.
Yeah, like my dad, my dad went into the Second World War. All of his cousins and his brothers and all this, they got drafted, and he was only 15, so he forged his birth certificate, went into the thing. But Second World War, in the Scottish Brigade, they were all wearing their kilts and everything, got stuck in Egypt, you know, and the rest of his family went into the Air Force, and every single one of them died. He's the only one who come back alive. Well, And this is the realities. And he told me there's nothing romantic about war. You know, you see your friends that you have made, your comrades, like literally blown up, and people lose arms and legs. Don't go to war for somebody else. Don't go to war for the British Empire or the English mafia. And it's not about English people. It's about the English government and the English monarchy. Yeah.
No, absolutely. It's not about. I mean, I've got English cousins, English family, and stuff like that as well. That obviously my family's moved down there, and they've met their girlfriends, and
they're still Scottish, by the way.
Absolutely, absolutely, and they're very proud of it as well. But I mean, talking about war. I mean, without going into too much detail, the army destroyed my dad. My dad was destroyed. He was just a young soldier that went. He was sent to Northern Ireland. It totally destroyed him. He's seen two of his friends blown up in front of him in his face.
Your dad?
My dad was, So my dad was an alcoholic and basically drank himself to death because he couldn't go over
because of all the trauma. It's trauma.
Because of the trauma that happened. But back in the days, there was no what's the word? There was no assistance or no help. It was back in the Maggie days. I'll not mention their last name because
Yeah,
really will get
I was
going.
trying to think of, we need a better word to describe her instead of saying her name, because they talk Voldemort is the name you cannot say. We can see
Yeah,
them
absolutely. She's poison to me and my family and to many in Scotland. That parasite, but yeah. So I mean, what had happened back then is there was no kind of real help. In fact, I don't think there's real help for soldiers even these days.
There still isn't.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. It destroyed them.
I think it's really sad, and I'm so sorry about that. I know a lot of people, and even that's what I was going to say. When I was at school, like it was compulsory for kids, boys, when they left school. You were 16, right, to go 2 years into the army, and basically the South African regime had inherited this nightmare that England's government had started of apartheid that didn't come from the South African people. And they sent these boys off to fight the border wars and, kill people in the ANC and all this. But these boys come back at 18 years old, totally destroyed, with the most horrific post-traumatic stress that they could never recover from. And it was compulsory, And I think what they do in the military as well is they break people to rebuild them in the way that they want. So they erase your actual anything that resembles you, and you become like a little, machine that obeys orders. You march and you kill and you eat and you start treating people the way you were treated, but you don't realize it. And it's a hideous situation, And I think what we need to talk. Yeah, say what you want to say.
No. I'm saying I agree with you. You're definitely right. And post-traumatic stress—that was the word I was trying to get out. Yeah, that was what I was trying to say. But I mean, at the end of the day, it totally my gran had to buy him out, as I said, to the army, but it totally destroyed him. I mean, I remember talking to him about it. I remember it was a green and purple medal he had. And I don't know where that is now, to be honest. But yeah. So I mean, it totally and absolutely destroyed him. As I said. That's just the effects and the impacts it has on people. So it brings it back to what we said earlier on about people. Some youngsters think it's a romantic. There's some sort of glory in war. There isn't. It's a really
hideous.
Bad thing. Absolutely. Yeah.
People come back and it was all the best of the men. If you look around, like most women say, there's not much bloody talent in Scotland, but it's because all the best men were slaughtered for centuries.
Aye.
And it depletes the gene pool, and then you end up with a lot of disabled people, because obviously the men who didn't go off to fight were probably disabled, and then they gaslight it with us. Oh, you're all disabled and you're this weak nation and all this, like gaslighting us to humiliate us. But they killed the best of our men.
Yeah.
Where are all these gorgeous Highlanders? It's so sad.
They did. I mean, obviously, if you remember, I mean, again, we've been talking about far back as Culloden. I mean, if you just remember, obviously, what Churchill did. I mean, even right up until then. I mean, when the evacuation of Dunkirk was happening, the biggest evacuation ever in military history. Again, it was the same as the Battle of the Waterloo. I mean, what had happened was that the Scottish regiments were ordered by Churchill and his cronies, which Churchill he's made out to be some sort of heroin hero when he starved nearly over 2 million Indians to death, which nobody seems to ever talk about.
More, it was in the end, I think it was like 45 million Indian people. Well,
I can believe it. Yeah.
Pakistan, Bangladesh, all of it used to be this before it was British India.
Absolutely. So I mean it just makes me sick to the core when you hear people glorify Churchill as some sort of as I said, some sort
and
of.
And there still are people who think he was a hero and an upstanding man, and it was appalling, like he did hideous things.
100%, exactly. But I mean, he ordered the Scottish regiments to stand, and they did stand. I mean, don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, I mean, people will say, oh, the Scots are better fighters and this and that and whatever. But I mean, they're human beings. They were our people. At the end of the day, they belong to this country, and they were made to stand by another country's orders to just go like lambs to the slaughter. And
they were used as cannon fodder, like slaughtered.
Yep. Disgraceful.
Such magnificent men,
Disgraceful. Yeah, absolutely. And it still happens to this day. I mean, let's be honest. it's something that always will, until we regain it. As I keep saying the word, regain our independence, because obviously we were an independent country hundreds of years before we were part of this so-called togetherness, as I would put it.
I heard something really worrying the other day, and somebody was saying that I don't know how this is happening, but they are actually educating the kids in high school, and I think it's high school in Scotland, about reform, and literally trying to, well, not trying to, but because they are extolling the benefit, you know, how they support reform. That reform is like saving, you know, and literally like corrupting our children, indoctrinating our children. Like, luckily my kids are out of school, but if somebody was to try and indoctrinate my grandchildren, I would be bloody annoyed. You know, I spent so much effort. I homeschooled my children and taught them everything about Scottish history that was real.
Yep.
And to have that just invalidated by them teaching kids about reform. I mean, it's bad enough that reform's probably going to get in England, but we don't want them here. We need to educate our children, and I don't know how we do it. And I mean, the nation's children not believe this.
Yeah, absolutely. And see, what you've just said there, Jem, right? So, I mean, we've been here before, though. I mean, everything you've just said there about, I mean, do you remember not so long ago about these sort of people, right? For example, that are educating their kids. I mean, this is a hint way back into the 1930s. I mean, we've seen all of this happen before. So again, these right-wing fascist loonies, like Farage is, I mean, let's call.
I like the way you speak, Chris. You know.
Oh, he's a right-wing fascist, absolute lunatic. So I mean, but we've seen all of this happen before. This all happened in the 1930s. So I mean, but the same thing's all happening again, where they're trying to spread this poison and lies into our kids, whether it's north, south of the border. That's what they're trying to do. So we've seen all of this, but we need to, as you say, Jem, we need to call this out for exactly what it is, because they're trying to brainwash your kids into voting for the right wing.
It's indoctrination. And people think those are just words. When somebody's brainwashed, they literally don't know they're brainwashed, okay? It's a bit like the movie Total Recall, or there was one about Liam Neeson where these people, it's a real thing. It's a kind of, people are even hypnotized to appear normal, but then they've got certain trigger things that will set them off and they'll go straight back into military mode. And it's really terrifying, you know. It ruins people's whole lives, and it sucks in whole families into, you know, military families. You know, like after the Union, there was between 300 and 600 garrisons inserted into Scotland. So you get to military families. And these are people that literally, they've been brainwashed and indoctrinated. And that's why I was saying you get different classes of segments of unionists, you know, and there's the ignorant ones, the ones that just don't know. And this is part of the hope that, okay, with Sounds of Scotland, Sounds of Freedom Radio, we don't have a public broadcaster, but there's a couple of people that got together to start Sounds of Freedom Radio. Play independence music, because there's power in the lyrics. And if you put it on in the morning and you get dressed to it and you're dancing to it and you're dancing to it at lunchtime and in the evening, instead of watching the bloody BBC, you are just literally, you're going to start feeling so strong because there's so much power in the music. It's beautiful, you know?
Well, people might laugh at this one, but again, my alarm, when I wake up, I got up at 6:30 in the morning, and my alarm set, and it's my alarm song is Flower of Scotland every morning. So
I love it.
It goes off every single morning at 6:30. So I wonder what my neighbours must think of that, to be honest. But nonetheless,
my neighbour's a union. He hates me, and I've never been bad to him, but he hates my flags and he hates everything about me.
Yeah. So that's, do you know what, the things that he hates, the things we love about you, Jem. So at the end of the day, that's just you know, you can't please them all. Do you know what I mean? But again, do you know what? We all know what the likes of you're doing. You're just saying your radio show and stuff like that. I mean, it's like we're all trying to contribute what we possibly can for our countries.
That's the thing, Chris. Yeah, if everybody contributes something, instead of a few of us being in the front line for like more than a decade, and we're actually getting a little bit tired and having heart attacks and getting like bags under our eyes and all this piss, you know, come on, everybody, step up. If you all do something, instead of sitting there complaining and fighting with each other about what color you support. Oh, I want yellow, I want blue. This is non-political. Independence is non-political. The government can do jackass about independence. They are so tied in this colonial regime. We can do things together. I heard somebody was saying that there was 2 podcast people that were saying that Salvo can't do this and being really negative about it. If you're going to listen to that pish, just think very carefully, because Salvo does know what they're doing. And if like the UK and the UN and the UK and America and France and all the colonizers, they were the founder members of the UN. They did it to protect themselves. But nowadays, it's controlled by decolonized countries. So yeah, they could still exert an influence, and we don't get into independence that way. But there are other ways. Everybody contribute. Don't sit there and criticize and listen to propaganda, and realize how you are brainwashed. Learn about what psychological warfare is, and as long as you know it, you know that your only defense against it is to literally learn the facts and repeat them to yourself and other people, and you break that psychological warfare. You break the brainwashing by learning the facts.
Yeah. That again is the essence of this, you know, because it's the fact that obviously the British bullshit corp and stuff, do you know what I mean, and the crap that comes with Sky News and the mainstream media, excuse me, STV News and whatnot as well, is the fact that we need to get the real story out to them, whereas you're getting the false stories from the mainstream media. Sorry, excuse me. Shall
I do us a favor and give us a little song, and then we can carry on talking, Chris?
Yep, that'd be great.
And we can both have a fag, because I'm dying for a fag. I'm sure you are.
Sorry, guys. My throats.
Okay, I'm going to play a tune. So this is leading up to Sounds of Freedom Radio. We're going to be doing shows on Independence Live, and we're going to be playing music, but I'm still already doing it on my show because I'm a rebel. So Sounds of Freedom Radio literally loaded some songs up for me and in video form. So we're going to have like music TV kind of music TV, like MTV kind of radio on thingy. It's very hard to talk about swearing, you know. It's really hard. I'm just like missing out big gaps in my sentences.
Swearing's in the Scottish vocabulary. Do you know what I mean? It's what we do. I get into trouble.
We were having a conversation about that this afternoon. I was talking to Graham Dallas, and we were organizing stuff for the radio station, and we were both of the opinion that it's not really swearing. It's kind of part of being Scottish. So why should we be prosecuted or whatever, you know, subjected to these rules? Because it's who we are. We can't communicate unless we are swearing. I literally leaving out huge gaps, just like rolling my eyes, so everyone knows I'm swearing silently.
I was actually in a meeting at work today, and I got into trouble from one of my bosses because it slipped out once, but not twice. I think it was 2 times, 3 times.
Did you say twice?
I said,
or was it 3 times?
3 times, I think it was. I said, like, oh shit! I'm like, F, I'm like, all right, I'm like, Chris, come on. I'm like, I can't help it. Do you know what I mean? It's just who we are. Do you know what I mean?
That's why I say pish so much, because it's my safe word. You know, I'm not saying any other rude words, so I just said pish, and somebody was like, Jem, stop saying pish so much. It doesn't sound nice. And I was like, it's my safe word. Just Okay, so we're going to listen to a song. It's by Graham Dallas, and it's called The Flame Still Burns. And your mic will go off automatically there. So I hope just check it's muted while the song's playing, okay? So if you hear any people talking over the song, it's MI5.
Yep.
It's not me. It's an imposter. Okay, here we go, Chris. Go for your bag. 1, 2, 3, go.
Thought you'd conquer, you thought we'd all just fade away, but there's a fire burning in us, and it's spreading day to day, and that flame still burns, yes, that flame still burns, yes, that flame still burns deep inside of me, yes, that flame still burns, yes, that flame still burns, yes, that flame still burns deep inside of me. When the wind blows and the rain falls, some take shelter from
that's a really cool song. And I just want to say, like, Graham Dallas has got a whole lot of CDs on Bandcamp. If you go to Pepper Jock at bandcamp.com, he's got more than 30 independent songs. And I just want to say, like, people, our musicians, we've got so many independent musicians, which is why we started an independence only music radio station. Okay. And if you don't support them and buy their CDs and download their songs, you are literally enforcing those people who have dedicated their lives to independence, really, to live a life of poverty. You're the indie movement. The indie movement's more than 1.6 million people. Go out and instead of just, making bets on like the football and all this, go and spend a little bit of money just to get a tune once a month. Support them. There's so many of them. There's Pete Scully, there's Stone Preachers, Graham Brown, there's Amanda Brown, there's Graham Dallas, there's literally, we've got so many people that are going to be on the radio. And I encourage anyone who's musically orientated, or if you're not, go and learn an instrument. I'm even learning how to play guitar. Go out there and start writing songs and singing songs, and we'll get you on the radio station. We'll get you recorded. We'll help you and get independent songs out there. This is how Estonia literally got their freedom, by singing. And I want to encourage the artists, get out there and do murals. Ireland used extensive murals in their freedom campaign. Get out there and paint murals. I make murals on AI because I can't get out the house. Never mind. I would be painting murals. I would love to be painting murals. Get out there and use the arts and use street graffiti, and get out there and use your rebellion in a positive way. Music and the arts. Sorry, Chris, you go.
No, absolutely. I was going to mirror that. I mean, like Amanda Brown, Pete Scully, all these great artists. I mean, they're absolutely phenomenal, and some of the stuff that they do. And I totally agree with it's something we do need more of in this country. I mean, there's a lot of great musicians in Scotland. So definitely, I mean, a lot of musicians do support independence. I know a lot of them as well. So absolutely, if more people can get on board with that, then it's certainly a help to the cause in a massive way. So I applaud what you're saying there. I totally agree with that.
Go and look at all the other countries, and there's a lot of them. Okay, just from the UK alone, there's 65. Okay, soon to be 70 something, because we're going to have Irish unity and Welsh independence, Scottish independence, Kerner independence. Like, nobody wants to be in the UK. It's not just Scotland. So don't put up with the Yuns pish. But we've got some fantastic poets. There's a lass on Facebook called Pa Brun. That's her pseudonym, and she makes like fantastic. She writes fantastic poems. There's Sean Moore. There's a guy called Charlie Macaulay Robertson, and get out there. It's in your DNA. You can write songs, and the power is in our own language. So write in Scots, write in Gaelic. Let's start using our languages to empower us, because English actually strips us of our power, I think there's one country that's got like about, I don't know, some 10 or more words just for snow alone. Our languages are very powerful. Start using them, Even Doric is one of our languages. People don't realize it's not a dialect. I think it's closest to Pictish as we get is Doric. And Scots and Gaelic, and start. You can go on Duolingo, learn them. There's Scotch translators.
Yeah.
Something that Chris Fisher has brought up that I left on the screen, because I think we need to talk about it. Education is devolved. It's within the current powers to provide better education. So why are we not doing it? And I think let's not blame our politicians. Okay, well, obviously we're non-political here at Independence Live, and we're non-political on Sounds of Freedom Radio, and basically all the events we are holding now under the independence movement to save Grangemouth and obtain independence, and all this is non-political. But we need a better education. So anyone who knows the history, start writing articles. Let's start a YouTube channel that's called, I know there's already somebody doing this. Okay, I don't want to steal their name of their page. But John Mellon actually has got True Scottish History on Facebook. And with our history being hidden, it is still around in many, many forms. And remember that the scorched earth policy of the English government and English monarchy, they would go and burn our villages and our towns and destroy everything. So all we had left was like pictures, standing stones, and this. But there's still records, you know. There was letters and diaries and all sorts of things that we do have our history. There was actually Pictish chronicles and Scottish chronicles. So if you know something and it's not anglicized and basically falsified history, start getting out there and artists go and draw pictures. You know, we've got some really pish art depictions of our ancient Scots that bears no resemblance to what they would have looked like. You know, it's kind of like mockery of our nation, you know, and it's not acceptable. Let's get, and even of the, I've seen the most hideous drawings of the Pictish people that bears no resemblance to what they look like. They kind of look like these effeminate kind of like blue smurfs, and it's like, it's a lot of bollocks. Like, get out there and use your arts and yeah.
I was going to say, Jem. So talking about great history, I can't get his name. I was just going to for people to watch because he's absolutely phenomenal. I'm trying to see if I can get his name. He's Scottish Jamaican descent. So he is, and he's absolutely brilliant. And I forget the name of his actual show, but he's on YouTube.
Oh, is it Bruce Femi?
Yes, that's the very man. That's him. Absolutely. Now, Bruce, I don't know why I couldn't get his name there. It's been a long week. I did know his name, but yeah, Bruce, that's the guy. Now, some of his content is absolutely, it would blow your mind away, right? And it's that guy, I think, is inspirational because that guy is the sort of guy that you will. To Chrissy's point, that's the sort of guy you would love educating their kids in school because he does it with such enthusiasm. And I really would suggest to people that haven't seen his shows on YouTube, he's absolutely phenomenal. The guy is amazing. So you should really check him out. He's great. He's one of us as well. But the way that he does explain Scottish history is second to none. He's outstanding.
Absolutely, you know, and this is the thing. Where do we want to? I brought this up in another show. If you go and live in China, right? At what point do you become Chinese? If you live there in your family for 300 years, do you become Chinese? No, you don't. If you go and live in Australia, you never become Aborigine. If you go live in America, you never become a Native American Indian. People who live in Scotland, and I'm talking about hostile colonial settlers, not English people, but hostile colonial settlers that are not Scots and they will never be. Whereas somebody like Bruce Fumi he's a Scot because he's got Scottish ancestry. And like anything Jamaican is fantastic because Bob Marley was a liberation hero, you know. Embrace this man. And if you've got children and grandchildren, let them listen to his videos instead of watching I don't even know what the latest cartoons is, but instead of like Family Guy from America or the South Park or, you know, just like educate your kids, you know. I mean, we were talking the other day, I think it was yesterday, that like Graham Brown is actually literally the Brown family. They are the Bruins. They come from Dundee, I think, and they are the Bruins. And Amanda Brown as well. But get your kids interested. We've got such a rich culture, even though we've been colonized and suppressed and subjugated and oppressed and all sorts of things. Get your kids, you know, get them the Bruins. Get them, what's our Scottish comic books? There's little annuals that you get. What are they called, Chris? Is it Dandy or something?
No.
But you get a
Dandy.
Bruin. You get
the Dandy,
Get them listening to all our Scottish comedians and our, you know, like the Bruins and all of these things, you know, get them. And that's how you get presents for Christmas and birthday. Educate them on what's Scottish, you know. If you are an artist, go out and develop Scottish cartoon characters and tell our history via cartoons so the kids can be interested. I would read them as well. I'm just a big kid.
Definitely.
So like literally, I
love them as well. Don't get me wrong. I love that.
started, I think it was 2 Christmases ago, myself and the love of my life gave each other little Dandy albums and the Bruins albums, and it was really fun. Don't ever lose your inner child. Just get out there and learn in any way you can, and we can do street art using the cartoons. And you can make a person and a speech
No.
bubble and say whatever you want. Like, we are colonized. We are definitely colonized. Be imaginative.
Definitely. Yeah.
Sorry, I've got neuralgia in my face. I've got like damaged nerves. That's why I keep on rubbing my face, because somebody asked me if I take cocaine, and I was like, "Are you mad? I've never taken drugs in my life." So literally, I think what we should do is start a petition, and that is our power. And people think, "Oh, petitions don't do anything." Okay, they do. If you get a petition, and you get 100,000 signatures, it goes, don't address it to the UK government. We don't give a damn about them. Go to our Scottish government. They have to take notice if it's over 100,000. And we are like, we want proper history in our schools. We want a public broadcaster that is sponsored by the Scottish government. Whatever we want, we need to demand it, because we can sit and blame them, but they're tied in this hideous flipping, like a spider's web of a toxic spider, and they are ensnared in it, and they're given like, so many tasks to do, and mocked and humiliated, and they're struggling. So give them tasks to do. What do you think, Chris?
Again, I absolutely agree with that. Definitely, as I said, I think that. But I mean, I see Chris's point. But again, it brings it back to, again, when I was at school, for example. I mean, things have progressed. I mean, we can't say that they haven't. I mean, they have progressed, because, I mean, it brings it back when I said, obviously, back, for example, when I was in primary school, getting taught 1066, which I think is just ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? Because it's got no appeal to myself or my ancestral history, for example. But things have progressed. But I do also agree with Chris that things have to progress further. I would agree with that, absolutely, and that is up to, obviously, the education system. But one thing I would say, though, is that don't think for 1 minute that they, even though that, yes, things are devolved to Scotland, that they have not under pressure from Westminster to say, look, there's things that you can teach, but there'll be things there, for example, too much in depth about the Battle of Culloden and stuff, that they don't want our youngsters in Scotland finding out about. They don't want,
or the adults, for that matter. Most adults don't know the true story.
Correct. And that's exactly why, I mean, there will be definitely pressure from even though it's devolved a bit, there will be certain things that they'll try and put blocks into that to say, look, well, no, you can go so far, but do you know what I mean? But I say to hell with it, and I agree with Chris in this aspect. I think that they are a government, they were devolved, but they are the elected government of the day. And do you know what? To hell with it. If they want to pass the legislation to teach their kids more, what the hell are they going to do in Westminster? To hell with them. Let's just go on with it and do it. So I do agree with Chris. Yeah, I think there's more that should be done in regards to teaching more in depth for the history of our country. I get that completely, but things, to be fair to them, have progressed in a long way since certainly I was at school. Not so far ago. We were talking about earlier, but yeah, things have progressed a wee bit.
Come on, you're going grey already there, Chris. You can prove this.
I am going grey.
No, I got, when I was getting ready, I shaved my sides because it's going grey, and I was like, I'm not having this, it's coming off. So I left this comment on the screen for a reason, okay? Independence Live, is that you promoting Salvo now, Jem? Yes, because Salvo is non-political. Independence Live is non-political, okay? Sounds of Freedom Radio is non-political. And there will be people who spread rumors, but it's not true. We are not putting up with this division. Okay, division is caused by the colonial regime in every single country that they colonized. They spread division, and it's down in our religion, it's down in our sport, it's everywhere around us. And if you don't reject it, then you are just complicit in it. Okay, yep. Stop talking about all of this pish. Okay, stop blaming and dehumanizing people, because that's what they do to us. And we are all suffering from colonial trauma, of course. So we would have fallen into this trap of dehumanizing each other because we've had it done to us. That's the same thing when you get at school. The bullied becomes the bully. So don't be like that. Wake up and start learning about this. And Chris mentioned something about red flags earlier on. And this is a very, very valid kind of parallel. The UK government and monarchy are basically narcissists. And they use all the tactics of narcissists. And it's not like we are playing the victim. I've heard like unionists tell us on social media, oh, stop playing the victim. No. Okay, we are the victim. And we have never accepted the fact that we are the victim. So they want us to sit down and shut up, stop fighting, but also don't play the victim. Yeah, we are the victim, and we don't want to be the victim, so we will keep on fighting. So don't tolerate pish.
It's the old saying, Jem. Do you know what I mean? It's shut up, back in your box. Do you know what I mean? As one fellow broadcaster would say as well, and he's quite right about that. I mean, it's shut up and back in your box, Jock. It's you'll do as you're told. You'll do as we say to you. You will do. You will take by our example, sort of thing. Bill, no, I mean, I'm a Scot. I'm a sovereign Scot, and I'll not be certainly dictated from. Again, not making it political, but from a building that's 500 miles from my own border. Do you know what I mean? So absolutely not. I think that we as Scots are very intelligent enough. I mean, we're a very, very intelligent nation. We've got the highest...
One of the most highly educated nations.
Yep, absolutely, in the world. So, I mean, I don't think I'll be taking lectures from English politicians south of the border on educating me on their phrases of life, because I certainly won't be doing that. This is one Scot that will never allow that to happen. I can assure, as many of us are the same.
Exactly, and what we need to realize is that we've all been lied to, even going back to the pigs, which is not their real name, okay? It's just that nobody really knows what they were called because everything was destroyed. But most people in Scotland actually have Pictish DNA, and this has been proven because all the people who went for DNA tests have got this Pictish marker, and it was proven in 2023 that Pictish DNA goes back before the Iron Age. Okay, there was an little investigation, archaeological dig, and it was an Iron Age site, and they found Pictish DNA, and it all dates back before the Iron Age. So we are indigenous. We also have indigenous rights apart from being sovereign Scots. And they didn't die out. You watch these videos, you know, and the educational videos, and they're telling you, oh, like the Scotty and the McAlpine, Kenneth McAlpine, Cognac. He literally wiped out the pigs. No, he didn't. His wife was a Pictish princess. His mother was a Pictish princess. He was Pictish. He didn't wipe out the pigs. It's just that 3 groups of people at least merged to become the modern Scots. And don't listen to the lies. You know, start learning your real history. That's what I was saying. We should start a YouTube channel called something along the lines of what John Mellon has started. I don't want to take his name because I admire him tremendously, and he's Alaba the Pict. You know, that's his nickname or pseudonym on X. And we need to get true history out there, and we need to get the kids watching these stories, you know, adults, instead of watching BBC and listening about Anna Sawa and Jackie Bailey and all these people. Yeah, we need to watch what they're saying because they're dangerous. But let's just, you know, I don't even follow any of these. I was going to say something rude. These parasites, okay? But,
I'm not going to. Sorry to intervene. I'm not, and I was always brought up. Do you know what I mean? Always respect yourself and respect your enemies and stuff like that as well, and try and keep the good. Never diss anybody in that kind of way. But there's one thing I do have to say, and I'm sorry, but I mean, there's one person in particular. One woman you mentioned right now, and I'm not going to get too personal, but what I would say...
Would you rather call her a parasite than a woman? Because it's kind of insulting.
She is a parasite, but she's the most vile... She's the most vile creature I have ever, and I've met her 3 times.
Don't call her a woman.
She is a vile individual, and I mean that woman is... I'm not kidding. She is...
You did it again, Chris.
Yes, parasite is... In Scottish politics, never mind anything else, that woman, the individual we're talking about is yes, she is absolutely grotesque. She's disgusting, and I mean the way that she even conducts herself in Parliament, and the way that she deals with people. And I've seen her dealing with people in the street. I met her in Buchanan bus station. She is a vile individual of a person, and I hope one day that we'll rid ourselves of poison like that, because Jackie Baillie is a very vile, disgusting creature.
She's a product of the colonial regime.
I had to say that, because there's times, even when she's on the telly now, I've got to actually turn it off. I can't even.
They make me feel nauseous. I actually want to throw up when I see their posts, and when I see them on anything, I'm just like, I'm bulking, honestly.
She's a nasty individual. That's the politest way I'm putting that. Yeah.
I think, though, that they're also like, these people are indoctrinated and brainwashed, and I think it's a kind of hypnosis, and we need to investigate this further. Really, we do, because we need to start normalizing talking about colonial trauma, because like literally drug taking and alcoholism is part of colonial trauma. It doesn't make us a weak nation, because the Aborigines and the Native American people in the 70s.
I would say that's the sad thing about this. I mean, obviously the Scotland, see, when I hear. Oh, I think I've lost you.
We lost you for a couple of seconds. You're back. It's fine. So, Chris, it's fine. Carry on. It's just your signal. Just keep on talking. Chris, can you hear me? Chris, if you can hear me, go out the studio for a second and come back. It will fix it up. It's probably just they're messing with our broadcast. So basically, somebody talking about football here, and it takes it out of the Scottish economy. It's true, a lot of businesses are owned by unionists, and a lot of the sport and a lot of the councils are run by unionists, and basically everything is run by unionists. So we need to persevere and get people out there, start educating yourselves, self-educate yourself on various topics. And here's Chris back again. Are you back? Yeah.
There, we're back.
Do you remember what you were ranting about? I don't know
what happened there. A wee technical problem, but we're back. Do
you remember what you were ranting about?
I do. I was ranting about a certain individual. I don't even want to mention the name again. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. I've managed to compose myself. I think the computer. I think my laptop. Even when I heard their name there, was about to self-destruct, so it was, but we've contained ourselves.
Could have brought down the whole show, but please don't call her a woman. And we need to stop this dehumanizing each other by using the word woman or man. They are parasites. They are colonial creatures. They've lost their humanity, so they're no longer human.
Totally.
I believe that.
Yeah. No, I'm with you 100%. She's not a very nice person. Anyway.
Well, she's lying about the NHS, and this is because they want to shut it down and privatize it. And, I was in hospital for 5 months last year, and they were amazing, really. And there was no rats, and I would have welcomed the company, to be honest. If there was a little rat there, I would have made it a little friend and called it something like Annis,
I would have probably done the same. And Jen,
Bailey.
Exactly. No, I wouldn't even offend her that, to be honest. But no, I'm the same as you, Jem, and I would like to take this opportunity personally to I was the same as yourself. I was very, very ill last November, without going into too much detail, but I almost lost my life back in November, and I'd like to obviously take the opportunity to thank.
I thought I saw you on the other side, because I died briefly, and I thought, I'm sure that's Chris Wilson over there, and then I got brutally ripped back into my building.
I was there, but we were drifted back to the light, Jem. Yeah, absolutely. Scotland still needs. I think they need us all. I think just now, just to hang on to this is done. But no, I genuinely would like to thank the Scottish National Health Service for the outstanding, phenomenal job that they've done. I mean, I was looked after for 10 days, and I've got to say that's what really annoys me about who we were talking about. I mean, recently the lies and the vile diatribe that she's come out with absolutely it makes my blood boil after the amount of decency and the care that I was well looked after, and the amount of nights that I was in that hospital, and I can't thank them enough. I mean, they are absolutely outstanding, and I applaud every single one of them. It's an asset that we cherish, and again, thank you very much to the Scottish National Health Service. Outstanding.
Fantastic. And Chris, did you do your duty as a Scottish patriot to convert anyone to independence when you're in the hospital? Because this is now tradition.
I was, believe it or not, yeah, they were actually they were laughing at me when I was leaving, but yeah, believe me, I had many conversations, not just with NHS staff, but with patients within the ward. So yeah, I cannot go. Everybody laughs at me, right? My whole life, I have never went a day, I don't think, and I don't know how many years, without saying the word Scotland at least about 100 times a day. It's automatic. The word Scotland, I don't know, sometimes I'm trying, right, do you know what, for one day my mates will say, see how long you can go, and then I'll try my best, and then literally without thinking, about half a minute later, I'll say Scotland. It just blurps out, do you know what I mean? So
it's because it's so necessary. I think our ancestors are actually speaking through us and saying we are literally going to be totally screwed forever if we don't get it in the next, year. We are totally screwed because we're going to be partitioned, and we're going to end up like Palestine with scattered little bits of Scotland in between the SEZs and the free ports. And it's going to be a nightmare. So we need to really focus. I mean, somebody said to me recently, like a very dear friend of mine was like, Jem, will you stop talking about independence all the time? Because I can't stop being in a state of anxiety because you never shut up. And I was like, no, I won't. I will shut up for about 2 seconds.
I'm the same as you every day.
I can't, because we are in so much danger that if we shut up, it's what people have been doing for the last 300 years and more, being quiet, being well behaved, trying to concentrate on all these normal little British tasks, and having a cup of tea, and fuck that, because it's over. We're not gonna... Okay, Slanjava.
Slanjava, and I always say that as well. I like a wee Talisker at night, so I do. Don't get me wrong, love a wee whiskey.
I promised I wasn't going to swear tonight, and I did it. But stop being British, be more Scottish.
Aye, 100%. And one thing, Jem, I think is really important. Do you know what I mean? And I say this to people. Some people say it's a bit dramatic. Some people don't. But this is my beliefs, and obviously, I'm giving you what I think. Right now, we are still at war, and you talk about 300 years ago. Scotland technically,
we are at war.
We're not at war with swords. It's a war. It's a war of again, the independence movement's about peace, but we are still at war right now. We
have had war declared on us, so we are 100%. Under psychological warfare, 100%. And that is no different from bullets and missiles, in that it actually literally kills people, that they will commit suicide because they are so oppressed, that they are suffering from extreme depression. They are getting diagnosed with all sorts of mental health issues. That's actually colonial trauma, and gaslighted that, now you're a mental head case. This is bollocks. You're not. You're just literally, even if you've got a temper and you get drunk and you punch people up, this is your inner berserker. We can't fight against the regime, so we end up fighting each other. This is what this whole political party clashing is about. You know your enemy. Your enemy is not each other. It's not. And Chris, your turn. Can you hear me?
All right, we broke up again, I think. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, no. Did we break up? I was enjoying our relationship.
Oh, you've cut out again. Can you hear me okay? 2 seconds.
I can hear you, so just talk.
Oh.
Okay, Chris is just going out the studio briefly there. I think what I'm going to do is put on a tune, because I think we're getting a bit of interference there. I'm going to put on a tune and we'll keep on speaking. Give me a second. I'm going to play a song. I think it's Graham Brown. It's called Let Me Be Me. That's awesome. So let us be Scottish. Let me be me. Okay, here you go, people.
climb the hill we climbed, you can call on me. Just say my name with pride, I'll always be there. Just let me be me. Now you're alone, and you know the truth is real, and you've been hurt. You know just how I feel, but don't turn away. Just let me be me.
Well, there was a great song by Graham Brown. He's got the Stone Preachers. He's Mr. Broon, and fantastic. And just want to say what he's singing about, that just let me be me. That's what we are saying to Westminster, Scotland. You know, let us be us. We are so different. We are a different culture and everything. And I think Chris is frozen there. He's looking like a zombie. Are you there, Chris? I'm just going to send Chris a message quickly. Hold on a second. Are you there?
I think we're here.
Yay!
I'm here.
What I was going to say
Really
is you could try and reset your internet and come back again. Maybe they're just interfering with the signal. Yeah, so Scotland is literally saying to England, you know, let us be us. We are different culture, different languages. We've never been the same. We have more in common with Wales, Kimmerow and Ireland and Kurnow than we do with England, because literally England they literally exterminated most of the indigenous English people. I sort to say the word English, but it was mostly Anglo-Saxon and then some Danish Vikings, and they are very different from us. And while we will be really nice to nice English people, you know, of course we embrace them, but don't give us pish. There you go, Chris.
Yeah. No, absolutely. As I just said earlier on, as I said, I mean, even though Scotland and England have been at war with each other for centuries, but it's not about the English people. It's not at war with them. We're at war with we're at war with the establishment of their nation, to put it into context, because
the colonial regime.
Exactly, it's Westminster that's the enemy. That's exactly who is the enemy. I mean, the so-called British state will stop at nothing. They'll try to destroy every single one of us. But I mean, look, when I say war, I'm not sitting saying at war we're going to take claymores and charge across into the likes of Carlisle or anything like that. Absolutely not. But we are, in my opinion, we are still at war. And as I said, the battle maybe has been lost in 2014. Yeah, the battle maybe has been lost.
And we are.
Now.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, I was just
going to say we are at war. We are occupied, and that is a state of war. We are oppressed. We are subjugated. We are literally stifled and silenced. Even Catalonia has a broadcaster, their own TV broadcaster. We are not even allowed our own TV broadcaster. That's extreme oppression. They are so desperate to silence us. And like you said, when Outlander come out, then it was like, oh, we need to stop this because it's like literally stirring up people to stand up for their country. The truth is getting out. We have to silence it. Find any excuse. We literally got the vote to have this referendum about the Scottish Parliament 100 years before, I think. And it was held in abeyance all that time. And when we wanted our own parliament back again, it was to have it like it used to be. And what we have now is not our own parliament. It's occupied by, and even the Electoral Commission has admitted this in writing, that the Scottish Labour and Scottish Tories and all this, they are not registered political parties to operate in an election in Scotland. They have
100%.
one head in England, and they are merely an administrative arm in Scotland. But it's not right. Even in the EU, you don't get German parties standing in France. You don't get French parties standing in another country like whoever's part of the EU. It's not on. It's really not acceptable, and we need to use petitions, Scottish history, get it in our schools taught properly. There are many people, so get out there and start documenting things, because we did lose a lot of stuff. So what and it's fact. And if you're not sure, check with people like John Mellon. There's a really good historian that's also a Scottish folk singer called Alan Hunter. He's active on Bruce Fumi. Even Bruce Fumi can get it wrong sometimes, just because he's using records. You'll find that a lot of the history books is written by people of English descent, and they don't know history. So check your sources. There's like Ron Cully is a really good author, and he's written The Last Colony, and As Long as 100 of Us Remain, talking about infiltration. It's really big. We can recommend, and maybe that's something that we will draw up, is really good books to read. Read Alf Baird, Down Holden. I've got a big library. I've got an indie office in my house, and I've got a really big library of credible books. So if you're not sure, ask. Just carry on.
Yeah, I was just going to say, obviously, as the famous saying goes, it's when Robbie Burns said that Scottish souls for English gold. It still happens to this day. You've got your Anis Sarwars, you've got your Willie Rennies, you've got this clown that's in charge of the Tory party. I know his name, but I don't want to mention his name. Do you know what I mean? And it still happens to this day.
And what about the Scottish Secretary of State? As if we need some kind of unionists to suppress us, even our own government. It has to come from the Conservative Party or the Labour Party, like Ian Murray, and literally suppress our own government as if we're not suppressed enough already. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely. Well, we had Alistair Jackboots. The less said about that, the better. And we've got rid of one. But, and you know what? This might be a big word, and people might call me down for this, but it's the truth. These people are traitors. There is no ifs, no buts about it. These people are traitors. They're traitors to their people. They're traitors to their country. They would sell us down the Swanee. Scotland's not getting anywhere near from the wealth from the resources that our people need. But these people are the decision makers within within the establishment, and it's their own country and their own people they're doing this to. So there's only one word for it: it's treachery, and that's what these people are. And people might think that's a bit strong for me to say that, but look, I'm a person that says it how it is, and
Exactly.
and they are traitors.
That's what my show is all about, Chris. My show is literally telling it like it is, the unbrainwashed version. And I don't care who I'm offended. And if I offend you, please tell me what I did and I'll do it again. Because you need to wake up. You need to wake up and stop like being hypnotized. Because you can unhypnotize yourself. You can unbrain yourself, unbrainwash yourself. You can unindoctrinate yourself. Okay? By speaking to credible people inside the indie movement that know their stuff. And literally, you can do it. Even go and learn about psychological warfare. It's been around for centuries. Many countries used it against each other. But the way that this colonial regime that hides behind the pseudonym UK and behind England, they're not even English originally, their origination. Okay, how they use psychological warfare against us. It's gaslighting, it's lying, it's dehumanization. And all of these lower our self-esteem so that we become a nation that procrastinates, that does take drugs that come from England, that drinks a lot, that gambles. You know, the way that they control our councils, that our social housing is set up in such a way. There's always a pub nearby. There's always a gambling place. And there's always drug dealers inside the council estates, and they get their drugs from England. You are not supporting anyone. You are destroying your life if you take hard drugs. And I'm not talking about somebody taking something that's a natural plant that grows, that's medicinal, around the world is being decriminalized. Don't do hard drugs, you know, you're only destroying yourself. So this dehumanization becomes people self-destructing. And you've got to learn about things like self-care. Don't let it become that you become evil, egotistical narcissists, but self-care and building up your own self, because we've been dehumanized to such a level that we literally are so unconfident. Somebody can give you a compliment and you can't even accept it because you feel like you don't have a right to accept a compliment. What do you say, Chris?
No, absolutely, and especially in the drug side of it as well. I mean, one of the things in Scotland, I mean, especially right now, that really saddens me, I mean, it really does, is when you hear often about the amount of drug deaths that's happening in this country. But I mean, look, I mean, there's a reason for that, is because if you look back to the last few decades, for example, when you had the whole infrastructure destroyed by that woman, that parasite in London who's now dead. You know who I'm talking about. The Clyde shipyards. I mean, all decimated. Everything. I mean, everything was decimated, and I mean, people had no futures, and that's why people they turned to drugs, because I mean, they had kids and they couldn't provide. One minute they've got a pay packet, and the next minute they don't. They've not been offered jobs. They've been given no future, and this is why we're in this mess as it is today. And I think that suits the narrative of Westminster, because at the end of the day, they blame Edinburgh, they blame our parliament. Well, they're very clever about saying, oh, it's their fault. Well, how can it be their fault when we don't have the power in this country to have the control of the drug laws to try and help our people in certain ways, but we're blocked continuously by a different country and a different parliament? So it suits them to keep us like that. It suits them to keep our population low, because it can take it in their eyes, and from what I can see, it contains us. They don't want us to grow. They don't want us to flourish. So let them take drugs, and let Edinburgh take the flak for the drugs deaths, when we know quite clearly that the law doesn't stand in Edinburgh. They can do the best that they can, but the buck stops with Westminster. But the
drugs come in from England. Most of the drug dealers get their drugs from England, and we found, especially during lockdown, that a lot of them were toxic substances, that people were dying from. Like fake Valiums and things. People were dying, and they were trying. It's an extermination attempt. It suppresses us, you know.
Definitely, that's what I'm trying to say. I totally agree with you. It is suppressing us, and that's the real sad thing about it. I mean, it's like you don't want to hear all the time how many of your own fellow countrymen and women have suffered and have died because they've not been given the help when their own government here in Scotland's actually trying to help them, but they've been blocked because, as you say, from our colonial masters as I say, are the ones that are blocking that from happening. I mean, it's devastating to see your own people suffer like that. I mean, it's devastating.
It is absolutely devastating.
I work in Glasgow city centre, and I mean, it's these people that are in the streets and stuff. I mean, it really crushes me to the bone that because they're given no future, that's it for them. Do you know what I mean? And that's our own people that's sitting in the streets like that they're given no hope or aspiration because of the so-called union that we're in. It really gets to me. It really does.
Let's talk about something that I've been speaking to people about, and people have been talking about. There isn't really help for people with mental health problems, okay?
Yeah.
And as much as they try to normalize it, it's still very stigmatized. So
yeah.
People are given like diagnoses of like all sorts of things, okay? And made out like, now you're damaged goods. This is bollocks. You're not damaged goods. You are a victim of colonial oppression, and it's colonial trauma. Okay.
Yeah.
And
right.
Let's start. If the government can't do everything, and they have done some things, but let's stop dehumanizing everyone. Like I'm the first to say, if somebody's a traitor, you've got to open your eyes. You have to see it. Okay. Don't fool yourself. There are traitors amongst us there. And traitor comes from the word infiltrator. So we have infiltrators in our country. They use the English mafia to create traitors. And let's find another way to deal with it apart from dehumanizing each other. So why don't people get together? And I find, this is my opinion, unless you have suffered something yourself, okay, and find coping mechanisms. Nobody can help you like a psychiatrist or antidepressant tablets or any of this pish, your doctor, if they have not experienced the things that you have. So if you've been homeless, or anybody is actually like 3 weeks away from being homeless, if you lost your job or something happened to you, get divorced, you'll end up homeless, okay? It's nothing about your character. Let's not dehumanize people. There's a lot of Scottish veterans that are living on the streets because they've got post-traumatic stress from this British army, and they don't like living indoors on their own. They get lonely and they don't like living indoors. So they go and they live on the streets. Don't dehumanize them, okay? Let's find a way that we can actually develop some kind of a voluntary organization of people who have experienced things and found coping mechanisms. I mean, I just went through a bloody nightmare, and I couldn't find anybody to help me, and I got through it on my own. And I don't know how. I don't know how. But now that I've done it, I can say that if you keep really busy and you have something that you have passion in your heart for, like independence, I went forward and I just threw my heart into it, and it held my mind together. I didn't take any antidepressants. I didn't do anything. I got through it. Keep yourself busy. Use your talents. It's like I paint. I'm just using myself as an example, okay? I paint. It's a relaxation. It's using your talents. Use your own talents. That's a way to get out of depression, okay? I don't know, Chris, what do you think? You've got to have the experience. These people can understand us, and as they've been through it, they can just snap out of it or take these pills, whatever. It's not going to work. It's a sign of colonial trauma.
That's it. I mean, a few weeks ago, a good few weeks ago, actually, just before I went to Tenerife, I was in Glasgow city centre. As I said, I gig at the weekends and stuff, and I was in the city centre, and I walked past this guy in Gordon Street who'd been literally sitting in the street, and he asked for a cigarette. Right, so it was in the middle of Gordon Street as I was walking up to the taxi rank at Central. And I gave him a smoke, and I started talking to him, right? And one thing it got to me was the fact that he had so much thankful in him for me. It's like, thanks very much. And he really, like, genuinely was appreciative that I actually gave him the time of day, right? And see...
That you saw him. That you actually didn't pretend he was invisible, you know?
Absolutely. And I mean, that hit me. And I'm like that to myself. I'm thinking, like, I felt like shit because I'm like that. I'm like, well, do you know what I mean?
Did you swear on my show?
So beep. 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 I felt like Jobby rather. And like, when I spoke to him, it's like he kind of. I mean, he was nearly in tears because I gave him the time of day. And I mean, I was nearly the same because he's like, he says many people walk by me, they demonize him and stuff like that as well. And the guy was just down in his luck. Do you know what I mean? He was homeless. But I said to him, look, It is. I said, you're still one of us. Do you know what I mean? It's like, at the end of the day, you think that people's gave up on you, but I said, he's still a Scot. I says, you're no different for me. Do you know what I mean? I of course, and it makes me appreciate obviously the things that I've got, but it was a guy felt so, he couldn't thank me enough, but I'm saying, thank me for what? I'm like that.
I know people tend to treat them like they're invisible, that they are somehow some low life, and anybody is a moment away from this. I got unexpectedly divorced. I never expected it to happen in my life, and I landed up on the streets, and I didn't know what to do. It was nothing I experienced in my life. I used to go camping a lot, and that's what saved me. But one time I woke up like frozen to the ground outside Haymarket Station, frozen. That the shop that was there come out and pour boiling water on the ice to free me, and they were like asking me questions, and found out that I did actually have the right to housing, and I thought I didn't. And they helped me to find my children, and my daughter come to stay with me, and we went to the housing by ourselves, and we got a house, and we thought we didn't have the right to do it. We didn't know, and just because of those people's kindness, pouring boiling water on the ice, I managed to keep alive. But talk to people when they're homeless. Sit and talk to them, learn their stories. If there's any way you can help, and you've been through the system of trying to do housing, humanize them. Stop dehumanizing each other. We are doing the work of the colonial regime in dehumanizing each other. These people are not lowlifes. They are just like you and me,
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't walk past them like they're invisible. Their feelings, they are hurting so bad. They're struggling to stay alive,
That's it, and I mean, the one thing that overall I would say about us Scots, I mean, we are a very compassionate and caring people, which is, I mean, you do get, obviously you get your people within that aren't, you get some people that are just not even worth the time of day, but I mean, we are a caring society, and I mean, it's just like these people are. And it's like trying to get the message into that guy, like you're one of me, I'm one of you. Do you know what I mean? We're the same. Just, do you know what I mean? It's like
we are brothers and sisters. We are
exactly correct. So I mean, it's like but overall, I would say that we are a very compassionate country, and I mean that's great, Jem, that happened to you in Edinburgh. I mean, for those people that did that, I mean that's phenomenal. So it is, and as I said, it's obviously it helped you a long way as well. Do you know what I mean? But it's sad to see. I mean, it is. But with independence, I'm not sitting saying, Jem, but independence is going to cure every single one of our problems. I mean, every country has its issues and it has its problems. That's just the way life is. But the hope is that I know for a fact in my heart of hearts and in my head that when we're an independent state again, things will be a hell of a lot better than what things are just now, and we'll start having more compassion for our own people, which we do just now anyway, but we'll break our chains away from this colonialism that we have in top of us just now, and we'll be a more compassionate nation. But unfortunately, until we get independence, we're kind of stuck with what we can do, but independence will make the life of these people better. And I said that to that guy in Glasgow, but he even said as well, we were talking about independence. I know again I can't help myself, but we're talking about Westminster and why obviously a lot of people are the way they are and stuff, and the amount of problems that we've got. But even he had hope himself. He's got that hope in the conversation we have that one day things will be better, but we have to break ourselves away from this chain of evilness that we have got called as a colonial master.
I think something that helps, is sitting down and talking to people. I had a friend, and during lockdowns, we used to go out. I actually had one friend, we used to go out and sit and talk to. We got to know some of the veterans really well that stay up in the graveyard in Edinburgh, and why they do it. And they don't beg at all, and other ones, you learn who are the meth people who are like trying to get money for whatever. They sit with dogs and all this. But, try to put yourself in a situation when you see somebody who's homeless, and don't think of them as an immigrant, because immigrants are not our enemy either. Okay. What would you like if you were in that situation? They might be dying for a chocolate, not a can of beans. They might be just dying for a chat, not a drink or something, The companionship and loneliness. Try to humanize people, just think what they would like and what they are suffering from. I remember when I was in hospital now, like I went in unexpectedly, and I didn't have my phone. I couldn't contact anyone, and I spent most of the time alone. And I was just dying for something like a Chinese takeaway or a pizza. It become the biggest luxury in the whole world because hospital food is so pish.
Oh,
And
it's not good. No, it's not. It's not good. Yeah, you're right there.
what
Yeah,
does it take to just go past one of these people and they are really suffering? And even if they did have a house and they're sitting on the street because they're lonely,
yeah,
get them something that you would really want in your life. Go
yeah,
past and actually drop them off like some new clothes that you got at Primark or wherever, a charity shop that will lift their spirit, because those people are so heartsore and so lonely and so like
yeah.
don't know how to cope. We need places that teach life skills, that literally, not putting people in boxes. Oh, you've got this
Aye.
disorder, you've got this disorder, humanizing each other.
Yeah. Absolutely. As I said, I mean, I speak to as many people as I can when I'm in Glasgow and stuff like that. Even a conversation with people, do you know what I mean? It goes a long way and stuff like that. People generally, they do obviously appreciate you even having a few words with them and stuff like that. As I said, it's just, we are quite a caring society. I'm trying to read Chris Fisher's, what's it? Kind of society is this? I get the same feeling when I go into Glasgow and other folk look at me for giving folks cash or asking how they are doing. Really, it's sad, Chris. No, it generally is, Chris. I mean, it's terrible. It's absolutely shocking. I mean, do you know what I mean? It's like people don't know people's circumstances and whatnot. Yet you get these people that just trample
Even
over.
within the indie movement, I can say this, right? Sorry, Chris. You don't know what somebody's situation is. And I don't have anybody, and I'm just trying to be a human here, right? You don't know what Nicola Sturgeon's situation is. You're hearing gossip, but that woman has aged dramatically. She's going under extreme trauma.
Totally.
I'm not using her as an example because there's things that maybe I'm not happy about either. I'm just saying, do we have to dehumanize each other? Okay.
Yep.
Anyone in the street, even somebody, I've heard people spreading rumors about people in the indie movement, or this person is this, and you are more than the political party that you support. And I will stand up for all sorts of people of all different party persuasions because I like to see the humanity. I know they are nice people, even though I may not agree with everything that they say. There might be the odd people who clash. Yeah, that's going to happen. That's normal. Okay. We are allowed to clash with each other, same as partners, but try not to dehumanize, like even talking about homeless people. Is it really going to kill you to actually give a really dirty person who's dead poor a hug and let them feel like somebody cares about them? A hug is more valuable than anything. Those people are so lonely,
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. No, you're totally correct. No, you're spot on.
One thing I wanted to talk about. Do you support Salvo, Chris?
Well, yes, I have. I've spoke to Sarah Sawyer from Salvo a couple of times before. I think that Salvo do a lot of good work. I think that, for example, when they went to the UN and stuff, I did see the other day that there's the case has been taken forward and stuff. Look, at the end of the day, if the work that they do, great, and hopefully something can come out of it. Because I mean, it does state in the UN Charter that every other country in the world has got the right to self-determination. So look, yeah, if they've got my support, if it can generate support and help to get ourselves on the way to independence again, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, I think I was really concerned to hear that there was two people who are in a podcast, regular podcast, and they were like bad-mouthing Salvo, and I worry that they influence people. Listen, guys, Salvo started from the okay, let me try and untangle my tongue. The Sovereignty Research Group, Scottish Sovereignty Research Group, okay, SSRG. They spent 8 years in the archives that was actually one of the remnants of what was left of the Scottish Parliament. It took them 8 years to untangle all that paperwork and find the Claim of Rights and the Treaty of Union and the Articles of Union, so that we could see for ourselves, because we've never seen this, what was, if you read it through as an intellectual person, or everybody's in Scotland's intellectual, by the way, we are one of the most educated countries in the world. What is the situation? So don't mock these people. Don't say they're trying to do this. And, oh, yeah, they use big words because they're educated, Try and translate it into layman terms for people who didn't get the chance to go to university, There are some people whose families were maybe into drugs and alcohol, and they never got the chance to go to university, and they are really clever people, but they don't know all the big words,
Yeah.
I just want to encourage people to join salvo.scot and liberation.scot, okay? And they were hacked at certain periods, and they lost some of the members that had joined them. So get out there and join them, because this is huge.
Absolutely. Yep. No, you're totally right. I would second that. I would second that, Jim. Yep.
So the most important thing to know is that you need to, once you've joined, so salvo.scot, liberation.scot, go in and join. When you join liberation.scot, you sign the proper Proclamation of Edinburgh, which has got remnants of different countries, kind of declarations of independence kind of thing. It's just a little statement, okay, that makes you a member. And you need to go into your spam folder and get, unfortunately, because if anyone sends you an email and they're not in your contact list, it goes into spam, okay? It's not salvo, it's just reply to the confirmation membership, then you are a member and you'll get emails from them and everything. And yeah, like, it's not going to kill you to give like £5 a month or something, and we all contribute to the legal fees, because this is a real strong possibility of working.
Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
so shall we have one more tune and then we'll close off, Chris?
Yes, absolutely.
You can have a fag. I'm giving you permission to have a fag.
Thank you. See you in a bit.
Okay, so the next song that I'm going to play is called Dancing in the Air.
Day that grown men cried, and something deep inside me died. The 19th day, September 2014. You see, the argument was won, and the race was all but run. Then those deceitful liars stole it all away. To my children, let me say that until my dying day, I fought for Scotland's freedom tooth and nail. So when my final day has come and the freedom has not been won, then my children, I ask that you will carry on. They told us it was done, they said, for a generation, son. But it's not for them to tell us what we should do. And so we march from town to town, spreading the word around. Scotland is rising once again. To my children, let me say that until my dying day, I fought for Scotland's freedom tooth and nail. So when my final day has come and the freedom has not been won, then my children, I ask that you will carry on. And when you pick that baton up, I know you won't give it up. I know you'll be the one who finally wins the day. And in that moment they declare, think of me, 'cause I am there, and my spirit is dancing in the air. To my children, let me say
What a beautiful tune. And literally, that was Graham Dallas Pepper Jock singing about people in the indie movement that have passed away over the years. And if it wasn't for them
Yeah,
keeping
seen.
the flame alive. So, just to finish off, Chris, you were saying that you gig on the weekend. You play music yourself?
I'm not any instruments. I would love to. I tried to learn the guitar years ago, but it's something I'm going to try and get back into. As I said, I'm just getting back into all my gigs again because I had to take a few weeks off. But yeah, I karaoke host, so, and a DJ and stuff in various different pubs. So throughout the Glasgow area and the Paisley area. So it's quite good. It's great, and it's a good bunch of crowd. It's that I get as well. So it's a good fun.
Is there yourself or anyone else that you come across that wants to write independent songs and get them recorded? We can help and get you on Sounds of Freedom radio station.
Absolutely. As I said, that's something I will certainly see what I can do in regards to that and stuff. Absolutely, I'd be very interested in doing it. I obviously, you know who Thomas MacArthur is, I'm sure. He writes a lot of his own. Well, he writes a lot of music and stuff like that as well, which is absolutely phenomenal. And he sends me a lot of content and stuff as well. So I mean, you never know. Maybe if I could even sing a few myself and maybe put it on the radio or something, then I'd be looking maybe to do something if I can.
You know, even like, especially we want to get at the young people because we all getting long in the tooth. Yeah, I'm going grey even myself. I'm much older than anyone realizes, and you know, we need people to take on this. You know, it's going to be a long journey. You know, Ireland's been free for more than 100 years.
Yeah.
And they've just finished tying up the loose ends of being decolonized. They still need to go through Irish unity because they were partitioned, unlawfully partitioned using colonial settlers.
Yeah.
So it's a whole couple of generations that our children and our grandchildren and great-grandchildren are still going to go through before they are totally free, you know, and we need to find ways to deal with colonial trauma. We need to talk about the subjects that can't be talked about, of how our sport is divided by religion, how religion was used as a weapon.
Yep.
Just like humanizing each other. And I want to tell everybody who's listening, and to please spread the word, you know, you're all worthy. You all have talents. Start to learn how to accept compliments. If somebody tells you you look nice or that you play your musical instrument nicely, just say thank you. They are seeing you, you know. They're not being false. Don't reject compliments. This is all part of colonial trauma. Get out there and use your talents. You are worthy. You are special, not special in a bad way, in a nice way. We are not each other's enemies. We are brothers and sisters, all of us.
Yeah, totally.
So
correct.
everybody, please support Sail for Freedom. Don't get some attitude that you think it's Alaba or SMP and all this. It's for our country. Let's stand together, non-political, okay?
Yeah.
Get on the ferry, whatever ferry it is, and let's go out to Arran, okay? And we could even, I think we can go on the beach, hey, Chris, isn't it? That's the safest place to be, on the beach.
Absolutely.
Have a barbecue, have a nice day together with your indie family.
Yep. Yep.
And we could even go across. There's a little ferry that goes across to Holy Isle where there's loads of wild ponies, Eriskay ponies. There are indigenous ponies that nearly went extinct. I was involved with breeding them myself on the islands for 8 years. That's how I bankrupted myself.
Yeah.
Let's have a really nice day out. Some people are going to stay over, but I think we can implement that law that we have, that we can wild camp.
Yep.
So if you want to stay over, and come back the next day, and really let's get lots of photos and video footage, and we send it to international media, and let's make it something different. We don't always, you know, like all under one banner, I've been doing stuff for like so many years. Lots of people get burnt out, you know, and they're exhausted. You know, it's a hell of a thing that you throw yourself into organizing it. So different groups of us have got together, still support the All Under One banner marches, but don't criticize them for not having a lot of marches, you know?
Yeah.
Chris is doing something really nice here, and let's get this together and get out there, and don't make excuses like I'm cutting my toenails that day or I'm shaving my armpits, you know. Get out there. There's no excuse.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thanks, Jem. No, definitely. As I said, no, it doesn't matter what colour of the political chart you come from. This is about independence. It's not about the SNP. It's not about Alba. It's not about the Greens. It's not about any other independence party. This is genuinely about the love and the freedom of our nation, because look, Scotland needs independence more than we ever needed it before. We have got to get out of this union, and any thing you can do, whether it's little, big, whatever, it all helps to the cause. And on May the 24th of this year, when we do go to Arran, it's going to be a get together, so it's going to be a fun packed day, and we'll all be together, and we're going to get the message sent it
Have
across
a barbecue. We got Katie dancing on the beach.
That's it. Maybe like a wee fire in the beach as well. Obviously, safe wise, of course, and then get it across the international media. We need to get the message across. So May
I
the
think we
24th.
should do an indie camp. I would be up for it. Like I've been in hospital for a long time, but I'm just like, I would love to go camping. And I think if anyone wants to join us and bring your musical instrument along, let's have a sing along. We are brothers and sisters, all of us. And let's show more love to each other. Not always worrying about, we need to love England. Of course, if there's English people in our movement, we do love them. But let's love each other, in this brother sister way. I'm not talking about there's going to be no shagging at all. Okay, just get that out.
Brilliant. No, again, no, it's definitely it's going to be an amazing day, guys. So definitely put in your diaries, May the 24th of this day this year. Sail for Freedom. And again, if you want any information, the page is set up now. You can join the page as well. Sail for Freedom. The logo is, or if you're watching this through video stream as well, you can see the logo for where Sail for Freedom is. And again, there'll be more content will be put up in due course as well. So definitely, May the 24th.
So join the Sail for Freedom Facebook page. And guys, please join Sounds of Freedom Radio, because we don't have a public broadcaster, but it is a method that we could get messages out really, really fast. If you guys just get in the habit of listening to it every day, get it played in local shops. If you've got a business, play it. It's really cracking music. We've got a lot. I can't even remember all of them, indie musicians. I even got a terrible voice, and I made some songs. It doesn't matter what you sound like. Just get out there. And I know like Mo from Sosa has made some songs with AI, and she's made heavy metal independent songs, and I love them. I think they're fantastic. You literally, apparently you record a version of your own voice, right? And then it uses your voice to sing the song. So if you can play an instrument, don't let it stop you. Get out there and make independent songs,
Definitely.
Don't criticize each other, uplift each other. I just want to mention something before we go, is that on the 29th of March, we're doing another gathering of the clans, the whole indie movement, really. Most people are on board for Grangemouth. So it's going to be outside Ineos, and it's going to be at midday on the 29th of March. We're doing a couple of fun things. So there's asset stripping of Scotland, which was, what's happening with Grangemouth and Ravenscraig and the coal and the shipping yards. It's asset stripping. So we're going to do a massive strip the willow. It's part of our culture. So we're using our culture as a weapon against Westminster. And we're going to do it. So everybody wear your kilts. What we're going to do is we're also going to have a tug of war. It's a tug of war between the UK government and the Scottish people. We're going to have a Scottish flag tied in the middle and Grangemouth written on the floor. And the tug of war is going to end with the flag landing on Grangemouth, saying the Scottish people will not give it up.
Yeah,
we didn't make many speeches last time. We did have things to say, but unfortunately, one of the people who was going to bring the sound system went into hospital. We've got many people in the indie movement that's really unwell, and I have my doubts about how this is coming apart. I know people are suffering from the COVID vaccine. Even when I was in hospital, people being, on blood thinners and this and losing limbs. People are really suffering. Be kind to everybody. So we're going to do this, and then we're also going to please wear a kilt. Okay, traditional.
Absolutely.
We're going to pull a big brown eye at Ineos when we're finished, and we're going to film it. So get your ass nice and good condition, shave it,
Brilliant.
So we'll have some musicians and some speeches, and we're going to have fun using our own culture as a weapon. We can't use our claymores and our battle axes, but we can use our bums.
It should be interesting, but yeah, absolutely. No, guys, it's definitely, as Jem's saying there, it'd be a great event, and everybody should try and attend it if you can. Again, we're getting our assets stripped here, so any help again would be great for the cause.
Yeah. So I just want to thank Chris for coming on the show, and remind people like Indie Chew Cafe has a little talk chat every evening. Okay, every day of the week. Just people socializing and getting to know each other, so you're not like gossiping about people because you don't know them. Get to know them. You might find out they're lovely people. And you can do it in your area with your indie organization and have a little blather. Get off social media is not really working. Not get off social media, but get into real life and start talking. Kevin Gibney started a whole lot of starter packs on Blue Sky, artists for independence, musicians for independence. If you are talented in any way about art, get out there and make murals, make graffiti, street art. If you're a musician, get involved with the radio station. Okay. What do you want to say, Chris, in closing? You can say anything you want.
No, I was just saying, no, absolutely agreeing with what you're saying there. Definitely get out and do that as well. And I would just like to thank you, Jem, for this evening, and everybody that's listened as well. As I said to you, everybody in the movement is amazing and fantastic and inspirational. As I said, we're doing this for one purpose, and we're doing it to fight for our country's freedom. And look, that this will happen. It's inevitable. It will happen, and it's not just self-belief. Well, there's self-belief, but it is in my eyes, Scotland will be an independent nation and regain its independence once again. But we're not there quite just yet, but we're close to it. And I
think we are there, Chris. I think no other country has spent so long getting its independence, and most people are exhausted after fighting for. We are fighting. We are at war. We've had war declared on us. Yeah. And we've been fighting back in any possible way that we can, in the most peaceful, lovely way. And let's get it peaceful, obviously. But start making plan Bs and plan Cs as well, because we are going to get independence. We cannot leave it. We will be partitioned.
Yeah.
And Robert McInnes is one of the independence live streamers, and he's got his own little photography thing on the go. Not little, but yeah, if you need music videos and you're in the open area or you need photography, speak to him. He's now doing a show in the weekdays, I think midday. So listen to his show. And if anyone wants to get involved in Independence Live, Chris, if you know any youngsters or yourself, or if you want to get involved in the radio station, please give me a shout.
I will indeed. And hi, Robert. Yep, his show's brilliant. So yeah, definitely give that a go.
Robert's like, he's been a natural, and he's one of the younger people, and we really need to get rid of us old wrinkly old bags, that are going grey and getting dementia on the show.
No, he's an asset. Every single one. He's really are.
Anyway.
Thank you
very much. I'm going to play out with the song, and then we'll go on to end the show. I just want to say, Chris, thank you so much. And
my pleasure.
I can't remember. Help me here, because I'm having a dementia moment. Did I play the flame that still burns? I did.
You did.
And I played What If. Did I play What If? I didn't play What If. Okay, I'm going to play What If.
No, you didn't. You didn't. No, you didn't. You didn't.
I'm getting really tired now, and I'm not that well, so I'm going to play this song, and then we'll tune out. Guys, please support your Scottish musicians, and thank you, Chris.
Thank you, guys. Cheers. Thank you very much. Pleasure. Thank you. Okay. Take care.
If all the words fell out the holy books, do you think that would be as bad as it looks? We'd have a blank canvas to write it all again. Tell me what you would write if they gave you the pen. I want to know. I wanna know if you could change the world, would you have a go? I wanna know. I wanna know. Would you change the world, or would you if all the borders dropped off of all the maps? Would that be enough to free the people who are trapped? We'd be free to roam around this world once again. Would you draw those borders back if they gave you the pen? I wanna know, I wanna know, if you could change the world, would you have a go? I wanna know, I wanna know, would you change the world, or would you let it go? What if all the money blew out of all the banks? Would you shout disaster, or would you be giving thanks? If they gathered all that money up and handed it to you, tell me, would you keep it? Tell me what you do. I wanna know, I wanna know, if you could change the world, would you have a go? I wanna know, I wanna know, would you change the world, or would you let it go? What if all the soldiers put their weapons down, disobeyed the generals and headed into town to sit down with the enemy to forgive each other's sins? There could be no losers, everyone would win. I wanna know, I wanna know, if you could change the world, would you have a go? I wanna know, I wanna know, would you change the world, or would you let it go? What if the politicians all had to agree that everyone was equal and everyone was free? No one should be hungry, no one should be cold, no one should be homeless, and no one should be sold. I wanna know, I wanna know, if you could change the world, would you have a go? I wanna know, I wanna know, what? I dare you.
Big thank you to everybody who watched tonight. We love you guys, and there's been over 90 people, 91 people watching tonight. So if anybody wants to have a show, we will help you, okay? We will train you how to use it. We'll produce your show. Whatever you need, we will help you. We'll help you with the radio station. If you want to get recorded, we'll help you get recorded and get out there and, yeah, be brave. I'm being brave. I'm in so much pain I can't even think anymore. But be brave. Be braver than you've ever been before. The storm is still coming, okay? Don't fall for propaganda. Don't turn on each other. We are all brothers and sisters. This is our indie family. We love you all. Okay, 94 people watching. Love you all. Good night. Have a nice evening, everybody. We'll see you soon.
While the unicorn is chained to the lion with
integrity. I will fight until I die.